It can be really easy to lose who you are in your work, and I had a client who was completely unbearable before she retired. Watch on for her story. Hey everyone, I'm Andrew. I'm the owner of Lever Wealth Management, which is the financial advisor for people who scare financial advisors. And what I do is I take the learnings from the thousands of iterations I've had with ultra high net worth and high net worth investors over the years, and I give them to you so that you can apply them to your own situation. I had a client who was an emergency room physician, and to say she was difficult to be around may be the understatement of the year. She was short in her speech. She was cutting in her jokes. Almost everything she said was sarcastic. Very few words that she said were positive in any respect, which for me is actually a pretty big pet peeve. But she wanted to retire, and she was just burnt out. She was. But she had a plan. She was going to work to 60. She was going to put in the hours. She made good money, and she was a good saver. But she was just a difficult person to be around. And we had actually, this is years ago, we'd actually had a discussion of, hey, do we have to fire her as a client? Because sometimes she was just rude and rude to staff. And I remember in passing one time, her daughter mentioned to me, 1 week a year we get Vacation Mom. And I wish you could see Vacation Mom. She's a lot of fun. But the other 51 weeks a year, she can be really tough to be around. Well, lo and behold, not that much later, she comes into the office and says, hospital has new ownership, and these new owners, they're private equity backed. They suck. They don't care about they don't care about patient outcomes. They're just in it for the money. And I'm overworked. I'm overtired, which, hey, in the healthcare industry, that is true. And she goes, I can't do it. I gotta be out. I have to retire. Okay. Well, that changes things because you're only 55. We were thinking you had 5 extra years here of not spending and saving money. And essentially what it came down to was she'd been such a diligent saver, especially early in her career, that she could retire. But there is not a ton of excess left at the end unless asset returns ended up being far above historical averages, which obviously you don't want to count on. And she had a vacation line item of $30,000 a year for the first 20 years of retirement, so until age 80, that she wanted to be able to use to go expense and spend a few months a year down in Florida. That new vacation line item had to be cut in half, and it could only be for the first 15 years of retirement, so through age 70. And whenever she looked at that, she said, yeah, I'll take that trade. And so she turns off the income faucet, retires. And then, over time, she starts to become Vacation Mom. And I remember, I will never forget when she came in for a review meeting. And instead of being tense, she was relaxed. And she talked softer. She was nicer to people. Not everything she said was negative. Not everything she said was sarcastic or cutting in how she said it. And she said, yeah, I've actually been helping at the local animal shelter. I forgot how much I loved dogs, just walking dogs. My daughter has a baby now. I get to watch my grandbaby for 3 days a week. And the vacations are fine, but I'm really enjoying this new day-to-day life. And what happened to her is illustrative of a more broad truth that I have seen in retirement planning, which is it is so easy to let yourself get lost in your work. It is so easy to let who you are go by the wayside if you are not hyper intentional about maintaining who you are and maintaining your health, especially in a high stress job like healthcare, like being a corporate executive, like being an entrepreneur who's run the business for the last 10 to 15 years. and is running on empty. You can get lost in the identity of what you do to make money, and you forget your own identity as a person. And it took her completely erasing all of that to say, I forgot I liked just walking dogs. Now I get to be grandma sometimes. And yeah, Florida's fun, but perhaps some of that goal was just because she thought, I need to tell Andrew I have some goal. I'm sure other people want a vacation line item, so I'll have a vacation line item. Rather, what's important is to understand, for those of you in high stress situations, the risk is retiring much too late and not getting to enjoy your life rather than retiring too early. Because if you're an ER doc, or if you're an entrepreneur or a corporate executive, you can make money. You've won that game. You're good. You will have no issue figuring out something else. I promise you. But you can't buy back the time. Can't do that. I've seen it time and time again. How people have changed and softened after they let that part of their life go and they find the next adventure. And so my encouragement to you is, what do you want your next adventure to be? And actually, go to loverwealthmanagement.com/ask. I would love to hear what you want your next adventure to be. That kind of stuff builds me up. I think it's super, super fun to read. So please send me a note. I will respond personally. And until next time, see y'all.